Who would have ever known, right?
Yeah.
Commissioner Diaz, how are you?
Hey, how's everybody?
Great.
Good, good.
Nice to see you. Hi, Matt. How are you?
Good, Ted.
Anna,
Heck, how you doing?
Chief,
How are you?
how are you?
Good, thank you.
But,
Do you believe it is October 20th already? I can't believe it.
well, it flew by us.
It did.
I know.
Mhm.
Scary.
Yes.
Mhm.
Where are you, Chief? At home or?
No, I'm still in the office. I've been here since 7.
Oh. Burn
Hanging in there.
a midnight candle.
Oh, for sure.
Okay. Wait.
Season is changing quickly.
Get my other glasses in there. I'll do. Yeah, I think these are okay. You lost me. There you go.
No. No. Exactly.
Hey, Commissioner.
Hi, Val.
Hi, how are you?
Welcome back.
Thanks.
Hey, Lieutenant?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I had a little trouble with so I had to call in. My apologies. So I'm gonna have to do it by phone.
Are you sure it's just that you don't want us to see you?
Probably, yeah.
My picture was up there before. Now I got all lines.
Yeah, jeez.
Still got full voice, though.
Who are we waiting on, Lieutenant?
We are just waiting for Commissioner Farrow, but we do have a quorum, so we are ready to proceed
Okay.
if you'd like.
Sure. The 1 second.
Nance, can you see me?
I cannot, Commissioner
Can you
Cuminato.
hear me? No, neither am I. All lines where my face should be.
We can hear you though, Commissioner Cuminato.
Okay, we'll take that then.
All right. If we're okay, we'll call this meeting to order. This is a regular board meeting of the Board of Police Commissioners. And roll call. I'll start with ladies first. Commissioner Cruz,
Here.
Commissioner Quarles,
Here.
Commissioner Lyons,
Here.
Commissioner Cuminato,
Yeah.
Commissioner Diaz,
Here.
Commissioner Roach is here, and we are waiting on Commissioner Farrow. We will skip over the Pledge of Allegiance. And at this time, if we can just observe a moment of silence for retired officer Anthony Ciafani, who passed away on Saturday, September 12th. Also, if we could observe a moment of silence for retired Officer Frank Davis, who passed away Sunday of October 4th. May they rest in peace. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, a total of 6 minutes to be accepted. Does anybody have any questions or comments regarding the minutes? If not, I would entertain a motion to combine those items and accept.
So move.
Move.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. And I'm sorry, Lieutenant, when somebody makes a motion to approve or second, would you like them to give their name? Are you pretty good at recognizing the voices, even though if it's a
Yep.
if it's a quick?
I recognize, but if I don't, I would just
Okay.
like
All right. Very good.
to interject,
Okay.
ask.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is reports. The first is the Chief of Police. Chief, are you with us?
I sure am. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Good evening, Chief. How's everything going with you?
Good evening. Very busy, but acclimating. Thank you.
Okay.
So, good afternoon or good evening, everyone. So one of the good things that I want to bring to the table, we'll start out with the good, okay? So in the month of September, the Bridgeport Police Department's Patrol Division retrieved 30 firearms off the streets, be it through arrests, through finding them on the street. I think that was a big plus, showing that our officers are dedicated to reducing the violence that we have seen within the past couple of weeks. And that was a sure tell sign. We've had what's called the Strategic Enforcement Detail that we had running for quite a bit on different shifts. And that does not include the firearms that were retrieved through search warrants or arrests that were conducted by the Detective Bureau, the task forces, gang task force, narcotics and vice, etc. So far this month, we've retrieved between 7 and 10 firearms, one of them being Uzi, machine gun type style from the Green Homes Apartments earlier this month. Our strategic enforcement
You right now.
Our strategic enforcement detail has been strategically placed throughout the city of Bridgeport, analyzing and looking at the patterns, trends, and clusters as to where what we call the hot spots can be determined, flooding areas with police presence in order to curtail or to stop any violent acts. So, like I said, we have been doing a lot of enforcement with that detail. I will tell you that just today, we had a warrant signed off by a judge for a domestic violence incident, very violent person. And one of the members from the strategic enforcement detail this evening was able to arrest that party and take them into custody. Another thing that we're doing, obviously, is reviewing policies and looking at any potential changes so that they can be presented to the board for approval as well. One of the items that I do want to discuss with you as well is the project longevity. We have fully implemented project longevity model, and they are not only are they reaching out to group members and parties that have recently come out of jail, but they are also going to the homes of parties of interest, people that may potentially be involved with group activity, and just offering them resources for a change of lifestyle that actually can implement their life in a positive way. I know that Harold Dimbo, who's a retired detective, has been reaching out to the community aspect as well. And he's engaged in food drives and just going out to the public and providing information. And he's been going out as well with two of our officers that are a part of Project Longevity under what's called the GVI model, which is also to do checks and balance and notifications as well. We have currently 16 recruits in the Bridgeport Police Training Academy. They are scheduled to graduate in May of next year. Just a drop in the bucket. Unfortunately, our numbers right now are at, I believe it's 368. Our number is supposed to be at 427, but we're looking at doing a new recruitment program and getting people signed up to be able to offer a test for the position of police officer within the city of Bridgeport. The Detective Bureau, the detectives test was given and the results came out. However, at the 11th hour, right before the list was going to be certified for promotional purposes, there was a whole host of appeals that went into civil service. So they asked that we give them approximately another week so that they can review the appeals and respond accordingly to the appellants. We're looking at potentially 8 to 10 detectives that will be immediately promoted to that position upon certification of the list. We also have a civilian detention officer test that we are offering, and that's to work within our booking capacity. Civil service is actively working on that as well. If you know any good candidates that want to be civilian detention officers in our booking facility, please have them contact civil service immediately. After that, our next promotional exam will be that of a lieutenant's test, where we have quite a few vacancies. And then after that will be a captain's test, but I believe that will not happen. That will not take place till next year. We are looking at the allocation for our 2021 year. Lieutenant Cotto and I think he may be on the line, but Lieutenant Cotto and I will be looking at the manpower, where our resources are best allocated. Patrol obviously is essential. Everybody is essential, but we know that patrol is the responding factor, or the responding part of the body that goes and calls, goes directly to calls and immediately deals with things that may be observed during their patrol functions. And then obviously one of the things that we are pre-planning for at this time and preparing for is pre and post-election. Either way, we want to make sure that everybody that goes to the polls will feel safe in doing so, secure in doing so, and know that we will be out there for their welfare and safety as well. Oh, one of the things that I did want to discuss, I know that last month we discussed the potential of having a mini award ceremony. I didn't really receive any potential dates, and I was just going to put a date on the calendar. And my intent was to have it outside, but I think that with the weather changing so rapidly, Lieutenant Cotto and I are going to put something together, hopefully in my office, hopefully by the end of the month. We're looking at by the end of October. I think we have 3 parties at this time, 3 officers that are very deserving of their acknowledged work that they've done. And I think they've been awaiting this for a while. So I'd like to move that forward. So we are going to verify a date, and then we will gladly welcome you to the ceremony here at the police department in my office.
Very good. Any questions for the chief?
Yes, hi, Chief Garcia.
Hi, how are you?
Good, good. So you mentioned if we know any potential candidates for the detention officer
Yes.
exam in booking, who should they call? Civil service?
Civil service. Yeah, I'm hoping that the listing is still open. I know that they are looking, they didn't have a lot of candidates, or they didn't have a lot of applicants apply. So yes, please have them call civil service or go right online on the website, and it should be posted on that website as well. We are short about approximately 5.
I'll check it out. I just want to be able to post it on social media through Housatonic.
Okay.
Good idea.
Okay.
Any other questions for the chief? Okay.
No.
Chief, I just want to personally, thanks again for talking with me last week regarding McClevey Green, and I did speak with Deputy Chief Armino and Captain Legal, and we have at least the beginning of a plan in place to kind of address our issues down there. So thanks again for pointing me in the right direction there.
Certainly. Anything we can do to help. Obviously, I want to point you all in the right direction. And I want to make sure that the downtown district knows that, you know, we respect the fact what they're doing for our city, and that we want to make sure that they feel safe in the area as well, for sure. And if there's anything that we can do to curtail crime or anything suspicious, that obviously we will definitely help with that.
We have a meeting scheduled next Monday at noon, and that's with the principals at the McClevey Square LLC, also some of the business owners, Comedy Club, and a couple of the others. In the Downtown Special Services District, I was going to ask for a member of the department there. If you have any suggestions, let me know and I'll reach out to them.
Sure. That would be either if one of the captains is not available, that would be Captain Lugal or Captain Blackwell. Then you can definitely reach out to Deputy Chief Armino, and he will represent the department as the operations overseer.
Sounds good. All right.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks again, Chief.
Thank you
Thanks,
all.
Chief.
Have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Bye now.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Next item is the report from the union. Do we have somebody present? Nobody representing the union this evening. The next time, we won't be going to executive session, but internal affairs report. Was everybody able to see that report? I think it was just a few minutes before the meeting. It would have been emailed to you.
I received it.
Okay.
And do I appear up there or just a vocal?
I'm sorry, Matt.
Am I up there? I know I'm not visible here.
Oh, you don't have, okay. And it's a very, it's a short communication from Lieutenant Lanos, and it was either 4 or 5 complaints were filed between September 16th and October 20th in internal affairs, and they have a breakdown of the complaints for the year. Total is 57. The largest is police conduct, and after that, excessive force, where there was a total of 7 complaints year to date. And also mentioned is that they're requesting 2 sergeants, additional sergeants in the internal affairs office to help with the workload, and also requesting administrative assistant to assist in data input. We'll move along to the clerk's report on the status of pending matters. Lieutenant?
Can I make a suggestion? I know it's difficult sometimes to send things out in a timely fashion, but it's hard to question anything when it's not in front of you and you received it last minute. As far as the internal affairs report is concerned. So I was just trying to narrow it down while you were speaking, and I'm not able to view it, but in any
Would
case.
you, I mean, if you could bring it up and if you have anything, we can always go back to it.
Okay,
Does
All right.
that sound fair?
that sounds fair.
Okay.
Thank you.
Lieutenant? Lieutenant O'Donnell? Lieutenant O'Donnell?
Yes, so you're muted.
I'm sorry, Commissioners.
Oh,
Can you
okay.
hear? Yes, Commissioners, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
So I'd like to get some dates on the book for December for OIA case 17I-206. I will be delivering this case to you on Thursday. We have a special board meeting scheduled Thursday at 6 p.m. for Central High School. So I will be delivering this case to you. I did receive some dates back from the union in December. I have December, just give me a moment, pull up these dates. So I have December 1st, 2nd, 7th, and 8th that the union indicated that they're available, to begin hearing this date of this case. If that does not work with our schedule, we can begin to look at dates in January.
I'm fine with anything in December.
Yeah, those dates are fine with me too.
I'd like to make a suggestion. I'd like to reserve the conference room A, B, and C in the annex. We don't have to use all of those dates, but I would like to get those confirmed by tomorrow. So December 1st is Tuesday, the 2nd is Wednesday, Monday, the 7th, and then Tuesday, the 8th.
Okay. Commissioner Cruz, Wednesdays are still tough for you?
I am good. in
You're good now
December.
on Wednesdays. Commissioner Quarles, what days are difficult for you?
Wednesdays, Mondays and Wednesdays.
Mondays and Wednesdays. Can I suggest then the 1st and 3rd, the 8th and the 11th, and the 15th and the 17th to hold?
Okay, so I had received available dates from the union only for December 1st, December 2nd, December 7th, and December 8th.
Okay.
So
All
we
right,
can
let's do the
certainly, we can schedule December 1st. We can, and schedule.
Let's schedule the 1st and the 8th. And what was the issue with the union on, any idea what their issue was on Thursday the 3rd and Thursday the 10th?
The dates that I just indicated are the only dates that they're available for.
That they said they're, okay. All right. Well, let's reserve the 1st and the 8th, and I'd like to know the reason why they're not available for those Thursdays.
I will follow up with a email tomorrow, Commissioner Roach.
If you could.
Sure,
Okay.
of course.
All right.
Yeah.
All
And
right,
then
Lieutenant, anything else? We have meeting scheduled Thursday. Again, it's at Central High School. Did you, without getting into too many details, because we are in public session, but were you able to reach the attorneys today?
Yes, I was, and they will be attending.
Okay, all right. Very good. Do you have anything else?
That's this Thursday?
Thursday at 6 PM, Matt.
And I just would like to verify that the location is Central High School. And you could park in the circle. And I will be waiting for you. Just, give me a call or a text. It's my understanding the doors will be open and this hearing's going to be held in the cafeteria.
That's correct.
And that's
Okay.
all I have on my end at this point.
Okay, very good. We'll move on. Next item, we have one item under new business, and that's a request from Murali Chiraviru, I'm sorry, my apologies, and Roger Ludwig to address the board regarding high-speed traffic at St. Mary's, as well as nighttime miscreants at St. Mary's by the Sea. Are these folks present? No? Okay, and,
So they
Okay,
were
well, then
notified by my office, Commissioner Roach.
Okay. and they were
Last-
given the
Yep,
phone
and they were
call.
also just notified
Yeah.
just recently with two follow-up
Okay.
emails. And they
And
never,
I can talk to both C-shift officers in 15 out there. Between Bruno and Stern, they cover the 3 to 11. I'm assuming that's where most of these issues are, maybe some overnight stuff, but I can check in on that myself tomorrow if you hear back from these folks. We'll go back for old business. We have a request from Lieutenant Cotto to address the board regarding review and approval of policy and procedure. We got 9.01, 9.02, 9.03, 3.01, and 1.02, 3.05. So we got a few there. Lieutenant Cotto,
Good evening.
how are you? You want to give us
How are you, Lieutenant?
a brief background, please?
Sure. I'm going to go in order of the numbers. So 1.02 is actually a policy that was already approved by the board. It's limits of authority. The changes I actually highlighted. So if you go down to the highlighted portion, we could probably expedite this. This has to do with the new police reforms in Connecticut that were just established, and it has to do with the October 1st mandate of consent searches. So as of October 1st, police officers no longer have authority in a motor vehicle stop to ask for consent to search. So we had to change this whole policy, and as you can see, these three areas here cover the fact that we can no longer ask for consent to search. Do you want me to keep going, or are we going to go one by one?
No, keep going. I'm sure if there's a question, it'll come up as you're going. But other than that, please continue.
Okay. So I'm going to go to policy 3.01. That's the use of force policy. This policy is the updated version, removing the language of chokeholds. We did mention chokeholds under the definition of force, and it just says that if you do use a chokehold, it is a form of force, not necessarily authorizing the Bridgeport Police Department to use a chokehold. If we go down to the first highlighted portion, it's authorized weapons. This is a accreditation standard, and we have to now list every single weapon in the Bridgeport Police Department, both lethal and non-lethal. So that's what I did there. This also includes what our ESU is carrying.
I'm sorry, can you reference the page number that you're referring to?
Sure. It's page 5 going into page 6. Under, actually starts on 4. Section B, authorized weapons, it's highlighted. And once again,
3.01?
No, I'm sorry. We're on 3.01. It starts at the bottom of page 4 under B, authorized weapons, and it goes into 5 and 6.
And you said it's highlighted?
Oh,
If you have a color copy, yes.
yeah, no, this is not highlighted.
Oh, ours is
Okay.
not. Yeah,
Okay.
that's why I was lost.
Sorry, I didn't mean to mess with you. You're probably wondering hey, I'm getting old. I can't see color.
No,
But-
not at all. It's just that you're well familiar and fluent on these policies, and it's like you think we're trying to catch up.
Okay. No, that's why I was breezing through it. So I'll point out the highlighted portions. It starts on the bottom of 4. It covers page 5 and covers the top of page 6. And it references the authorized weapons for the Bridgeport Police Department. Once again, this was an accreditation standard that was actually added in. So we just listed the weapons there. You go down to page 9, under number 8, for security, storage, and safe handling of firearms. The second paragraph we added in, and it now reflects both on and off duty, how officers will store their firearms. This is more of a safety issue, especially with the kids in the house. The next page, which is page 10, under number 2, non-deadly force restrictions. The first paragraph there is where we start mentioning chokeholds and the ban on chokeholds.
Is that from A to D?
That is starts on page 8. So you got number 2, the first sentence, and section A refers to chokeholds. On the bottom of that page, the duty to intervene. This is one of the big sections of the change of use of force, where it now spells out that a police officer has duty to intervene if he witnesses another police officer using excessive force. This starts, it's A, B, and C. And it even goes into what they must do, and it protects the person from making the allegation for any retribution or retaliation against them.
And this is new, right?
Yes, this is all new, and it's a result of the changes that took place in January.
That's good.
If you go down to page H, this is the last section of the changes in the use of force, and this begins what is referred to as the what's it called? The matrix. So this is language in there that was it was kind of tough putting it in there, but we do understand why it has to be in there. And it kind of goes from 1 through 5, the levels of force which a police officer can use. So it starts from the officer's presence and it goes all the way up to lethal force. Section I is just a brief overview of the numbers 1 through 6 of how a police officer can start at the beginning levels of force and work their way up to the department firearm, God willing, if they have to. The section that I like in here is actually section number 10, which refers to a weapon of opportunity. This is important because, if I'm on call and I'm speaking on my police radio and I have my police radio in my hand and I'm getting attacked, and my first reaction is to hit the guy in self-defense or to defend another person, and I happen to have my radio in my hand, I shouldn't have to worry about getting fired as long as I tell the truth. This is where a lot of police officers get in trouble because they think if they hit somebody with a non-authorized weapon, they get into, let's say, maybe not reporting it properly or omitting it from the use of force report, Well, this section of the policy actually protects them to say, you know, I had my radio in my hand at the time, and I didn't have time to drop my radio to justify a use of force. I think the last line in under number 10 is really important, and it talks about positional asphyxia and excited delirium. This is where you see these cases in the news where a person dies while they were struggling with the police. And not to get too medical or too technical, but it's a fight or flight syndrome. Person forgets to breathe. So if we go to one of the situations where, you know, the cops are on top of somebody and the person forgot to breathe and they didn't roll them on their side, positional asphyxia. Excited delirium is when they get really hot. Usually happens with like PCP persons, and a combination of the drugs, their heat rising, the fact that they're fighting can cause another death. So when we get into training and qualifications under J, hopefully we'll start, training. Well, actually, we are, and we will continue to train police officers on how to prevent positional asphyxia and excited delirium. So under K, this is just the medical section where, you know, it says police officer has to notify the medics. We changed some of the language in here because this policy was originally written for some of the smaller agencies. Even though it came from Post, a lot of these agencies don't have full-time medics, like in Bridgeport or Hartford or New Haven, where they have medics in their town full-time that respond to calls. So we changed the language here just to fit Bridgeport, where, you know, we would notify the medics and they would be there within a reasonable amount of time. Under L, use of force reporting. This just, I don't know what this is. What is this? Okay, the Chief Garcia, Chief Perez, they actually created a position called use of force monitor. It's a full-time position. It's filled now. That person monitors all the use of force incidents, and they make a report yearly to the state of Connecticut to make sure that we're in compliance with all the rules.
Who do they report to on a weekly basis?
So on a weekly basis, the reports get done. They have to be done within 7 days. That's actually the next section. The reports have to be done within 7 days, and they have to be sent up to their chain of command, all the way up to the chief's office, where they're reviewed and filed accordingly. This language was changed. It was 15 days originally, but we started realizing that 15 days then turned into 20 days, then turned into we'll send it up there when we can. So the chief is going to hold them accountable to the 7-day rule. Other than that, there are no new changes in 3.01. Going on to 3.05, this policy is the investigation of force, so these two policies go together. Chief Garcia wanted to change the way use of force were investigated. The original policy would mandate up to lieutenant to investigate the force. This new policy includes the captains, so the captains have to sign off on the report or the investigation, sorry. So if we go down to page 8, under section 2, subsection B, this is the language I was talking to you about, where it says captain and lieutenant now, and under 2, the date for filing changed from 15 to 7 calendar days. Other than that, there are no other new changes in this policy.
Did you say that changed from 15 to 7 days?
Yes,
Okay.
Lieutenant, I have a question.
sure.
How are you, first of all? Everything good?
Hanging in there, brother.
That's good. You know, I'm just wondering if there's anything in the policies, or if we're going to see anything in the policies that have to do with a responsibility of an officer when a person is in like dying, I don't know how to, if somebody was dying, I can only think of the Jason, the young man that died, and how, the videos, what the people seen were that the officers were walking around talking to each other. It wasn't like anyone was really concerned for the child, for the suspect, let's say. It could be any suspect. But it's the lack of compassion. Is there something, or are we going to see something that kind of addresses that? I think I know there's a fine line. It's probably really hard to come up with something that would satisfy everybody in the sense, but I just feel that it makes us look that much better if the police officers are compassionate in those times. If there's a sign of compassion, somebody can see, wow, all right, this happened, that happened, but look at how they reacted to it, instead of look at how they reacted to it.
Yeah, so we have a lot of policies that would address that. The first one that comes to mind is courtesy to the public. And believe it or not, we've actually charged more officers with that probably in the last 6 months than we charged probably in the last 2 years. So we have been noticing a trend with police officers and their behaviors, and that charge has come up a lot, and courtesy with the public. So now with the video, supervisors are reviewing video, and they're addressing these issues. And you're absolutely right. We have to remain professional, and especially, in the public side, because, that's somebody's loved one. And
Right.
there's no excuse for that. But it all comes down to the supervision.
I think in a lot of cases too, it's just lack of thought at that moment. If it's out there and people know that it's out there, now it becomes part of their thought process when it happens.
Yeah. I mean, the other side to that conversation is, as a police officer, you see tragic event, you see tragic event, you see tragic event,
Yeah.
and you kind of get numb to these situations where, seeing somebody dying or seeing somebody get shot is becoming the norm. And that should be unacceptable in our society.
I agree.
But happening so frequently now that police officers are getting numb to this.
Okay.
I can remember a trainee, and he saw his first death, and he was in tears because he never seen anything like that. These guys are getting numb to this, and it's not only in Bridgeport. It's happening.
I know it's.
Yeah. But great
I
question.
appreciate that.
Anytime. So moving on to policy 9.01, training and administration. We're going to get into 901, 902, 903 into our section of the policy that has to deal with training. And the first one is administration. We've never had a policy that addressed training or anything, well, very minimal with training. So a lot of this stuff is new. And it gets into the training commander and how they select trainers, how they develop their method of, it's called MOI, method of instruction. It talks about how they're going to save the training records. It gets into procedures of what the OIC of training is going to do. This is very important, especially, if there is any litigation and these records do get subpoenaed. Well, now we have written documents that will mandate what the training OIC will do and what the training OIC will provide. It gets into training attendance, and we're going to hold our officers accountable to attend training, and we're going to have to, take disciplinary action when they fail to attend training, because training is extremely important. This comes into play at the end of the training cycle. God forbid if a police officer is deficient in their training hours and they fail to attend 3, 4, 5, training courses. Well, we're going to hold them accountable at the end and enforce disciplinary action. It gets into selecting trainers. sending them for training, lesson plans, and most importantly, remedial training, because not everybody gets it. You know, everyone learns at a different pace, and it seems like the younger guys are picking it up a lot faster than some of the older guys. So remedial training is very important, and you know, in a remedial training session, we could take our time and go a little slower, especially with technology and electronics, where some of the older officers are less inclined to or adapt to the changes in policing. Other than that, 9.01 is covered. 9.02 is Recruit Training Academy.
Can
This
we
is
ask
also-
questions on 9.01 before you move on?
Sure. Sorry.
It's okay. You're on a roll, I get it.
I was in the zone.
So this is all good. I mean, it's great, right? We want to hold tightening things up, and accountability is key in any profession for that matter. But when you talk about remedial training and how some learn at different paces, how do you know they didn't learn? Do we wait till they commit the mistake or are in violation of policy to address it? To
So
go
there's a
through
measure.
retraining?
So
Okay.
there's a measure. There's a measure at the end of training courses, and the measure is usually a test. We could measure them that way. I have sat in classes where some people didn't get it, and they had to go to a couple classes. The first thing that comes to mind is when I went to next gen training and even body cam training. You know, some of this technology is growing really fast. To teach a 60-year-old person that is less inclined to adapt to electronics,
Right.
how to categorize video on a computer that is synced to their body camera could be very challenging, and it could be very intimidating if you're not willing to learn. So that's a good example. And another thing that you brought up was discipline. You know, the way we're doing discipline now is we're adding a training component along with the discipline. So we've already sent officers to remedial training along with discipline. So we're hitting it with both angles, where not only are we correcting your behavior, but now we're going to show you through training how to behave properly.
Okay, so my next question, this is good for the new recruits, right? This is going to be part of their training. And I understand the entire police force will be well aware of this, but in reality, when a police officer is feeling under pressure that they have to know all this stuff, right? And there's a fine line between what they're used to doing and what they're expected to do now. Do they have to question themselves or ask for additional training? If that's the case, do you leave it up to the officer?
Well, if they don't pass the measure, which is the test, they will be offered remedial training. Some people do ask for it. One officer comes to mind where he or she was having a problem with report writing. And this officer went to a technical high school where you get 50% of academics, you get 50% of shop. So this particular officer was very deficient in report writing, and he asked for remedial training. And this officer got a lot of remedial training to a point where this officer actually became a field training officer. So that's another example of, you know, they could ask for it. A supervisor can recommend it. If they don't pass the measure, they will get it. And it could be mandated on them from the chief's office as a form of discipline.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. If there's no other questions, I'm going to go on to 902. Okay, so 902 is Recruit Academy Training, and Commissioner Cruz touched on this a little bit, but this gets into the mandates or some of the mandates and how our academy is directed by POST C, just the Connecticut Police Officers Standard and Training Council. It gets into the administration of the police academy. One of the most important things that it talks about here is the facility. Before we could have a police academy, the facility has to be audited and approved by POST. Each recruit will get a handbook and they will get trained on what we're going through right now, our policies and procedures. This is a very short policy because it's very direct and it refers to police recruits only. Are there any questions with 9.02? Okay, going on to 9.03.
I do have a question. I'm sorry. I was speaking and I didn't unmute. Real
The
quickly.
flow, go ahead.
Under procedure,
Yes.
B, you said facility. Did you
Yes.
say recruit training academy facility?
Yes.
It says faculty.
Aha, I'm sorry. This is actually the staffing. I'm sorry. This is, the staffing will be, I was going a little too fast. Thank you. This is the staffing for the police academy. It will be filled on a needs basis. So for example, if there isn't a class in session, we might be less staffed for when there is a class in session. Prior to this police academy class, we added, I believe it was 2 officers and a sergeant. And that's based on the needs.
Thank you.
Sorry about that, I was going too fast.
No problem.
So going on to 9.03, training instructors. So this goes into the responsibility of the instructors, what they must do, how they must create a lesson plan, how the lesson plan has to be approved. It goes into the qualifications of instructors. And it talks about outside instructors and schools police officers can attend. This is important because this policy will protect the police department from somebody going in there that is not approved or doesn't have the credentials and teaching our police officers something that probably shouldn't be taught. This is also another short policy, 3 pages. Other than that, I don't have anything else.
Lieutenant,
Yes.
are we completely up to date with the recent legislation that's been passed in Hartford, or do we still have some more changes need to be made to the policy?
As soon as you guys approve this, I will put it out probably tomorrow morning, and we'll be up to date. Some of the changes that took place October 1st, what we did was we put those out in the form of an all commands from the chief of police, pending the approval of our policies.
Okay. Any other questions for the lieutenant?
Good.
Good.
I do, but I'm not sure if he wants to answer it.
Sure.
But I'll give
Give
it
it
a
a
shot.
shot.
It has to do with warrants, issuing warrants.
Okay.
I think that was probably the very first one. I'm trying to find it. 1.02.
Okay.
It's not in there. I was looking for it. When you have probable cause and anyway, when a warrant is issued, is the officer, sergeant, lieutenant, captain, whomever, official, obligated to show the warrant
Yes.
to the suspect?
Yes, unless and there are some exceptions where it could be an ongoing investigation, and disclosing the contents of the warrant would jeopardize the investigation.
So let's say it's not an ongoing investigation. I'm just going to play devil's advocate here, and a warrant is supposedly issued, and they don't feel obligated to show that, obviously, the suspect or the victim, it's not a, there's no excuse if you're ignorant of the facts and you don't know your rights. But the fact of the matter is that if they don't show it, unless the victim knows otherwise, that's not his defense. Am I correct? But
No, they are mandated to show it. So I actually made an arrest a couple weeks ago, and I forgot to do it, but it didn't get past the booking sergeant, who reminded me to put a copy or give a copy of the warrant to the arrestee. So the booking sergeant, after you make an arrest, will review everything, and if something's missing, it won't get past the booking sergeant. So this is actually a requirement of the paperwork that would go to court with the person. So along with your incident report, if you make an arrest on a warrant, you have to have the warrant follow with the paperwork.
So wouldn't that fall under the limits of authority in this policy regarding that they're obligated to make known the warrant to the suspect that's being charged? There's nothing here, I was looking for it all over, saying that that is the case. Why isn't that part of the policy, is my question.
So you're getting confused with search warrants that are in this policy,
Right.
and I think you're referring to more of an arrest warrant.
So a search warrant doesn't lead to an arrest? Is that what you're saying?
It can. So if we go down to like on page 14, where they talk about arrest warrants versus like a search warrant.
Yes.
And this is one of those things where it's taught in report writing that if you make an arrest on a warrant, the warrant goes with the part of the paperwork. There's no way. Well, the only mitigating factor would be an ongoing investigation where you can't disclose the contents of the warrant, but we can still disclose the face sheet of the warrant where the police officer signs. So even in that situation, you would get something from the police officer that would also follow with the person to court as part of their paperwork. All they would do is take out the contents and the probable cause of the warrant if it's an ongoing investigation.
So the face of the warrant indicates name, address.
The charge, the bond, the signature by the judge, and the signature by the police officer serving the warrant. So anytime someone's arrested on the warrant, the police officer has to actually affirm the page on the warrant that says, I served this warrant in Bridgeport, Fairfield County with today's date. So it's part of the paperwork.
I think my bigger concern is that even though it is a given for the officers that should know this, if it's not written in this policy, where is it written? Because if they don't, it's not written. That's my question.
I guess it's like saying, where is it written that if I make an arrest, I have to write an incident report? It's one of these things that is actually in there. If you look at the last sentence under number 2 for warrantless arrests, it says officers shall complete an incident report, other required forms for each warrantless arrest made. If you want, I can add, the affirmation of the warrant page on there. I don't have a problem adding that language in there if you like.
Do you need my approval? I mean, I think that.
Well,
It just makes
You
sense.
can make a suggestion and move for an amendment to it, Commissioner, and the board can vote on it.
Yeah, what did you call that attachment?
It would be the face sheet of the warrant.
Okay. So I make a motion to amend policy 1.02 to include the face sheet of a warrant that needs to be presented at the time of a search warrant towards arrest, right? An arrest warrant.
Before you vote, just understand that this vote will be on contingent, that it doesn't violate any of the rules that are in place regarding disclosure and ongoing investigations, which I'm about 99% sure that it doesn't.
Okay. I think that's fair enough.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconds are made. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay. Motion is passed. Commissioner Cruz, anything else?
No, sir. Thank you.
Lieutenant, do you have anything else to add?
Are we gonna, I do have one more thing to add. It has nothing to do with it. It's more of a generalized update of where we are, but do you guys want to vote? Did we vote to approve the policies
No,
yet?
we haven't voted to approve the we voted on an amendment for the last policy. What I will do now is entertain a motion to approve the request of Lieutenant Cotto with the one amendment as amended. Sorry.
Just so you know, Commissioner Roach, that was the first policy that was presented, 1.02, not the last.
1.02. Okay, for the record, it's 1.02. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Lieutenant, your request has been approved. And what did you like to wrap up with?
I just wanted to give you guys a quick update. So our police department, we did pass our yearly CLES audit. That's the Connecticut Law Enforcement Standard and Practices. Those are the 16 mandates from the state that we are in compliance with their rules. Those are blanket policies across the state, and they have to do with use of force. They have to do with, oh God, hang on, I gotta pull it up. Car pursuits, body cameras. Those are like the big policies that the post mandates. Once again, we're the first of the large agencies that passed it. Domestic violence, youth investigations, sexual assaults, down to recruitment and promotions. That was a good step in preparing for the accreditation process. With your approval, be halfway done with Section 9. Section 10 is even shorter than Section 9. Once those policies are reviewed by the chief, I will be presenting them to you, and we'll be moving on to the actual assessment of our department, where we'll be showing compliance to post that we are following our rules. So the end of this year, beginning of next year, will be some good times for the Bridgeport Police Department as we move to become accredited agency. Other than that, I don't have anything else. If anyone has any questions?
No, just want to really seriously thank you. You've done a great job presenting the policies and explaining them, interpreting them, and understanding our feedback to implement those changes whenever they were presented. So we appreciate
Thank you.
that.
Thank you for your feedback. You know, it does make reading these things a lot easier. You know, any type of opinion is definitely entertained. And if we can make it easier on the eyes, we definitely will make it easier on the eyes, because, you know, I see things one way as we're doing these. So to get another opinion is, a blessing. So thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.
Take care now.
Thanks, Lieutenant.
Okay. Moving on, we have nothing under correspondence or letters of appreciation. We have a widow's pension to request from Mrs. Arlene Ciofani to receive a widow's pension effective immediately. Lieutenant, everything is in order?
Yes, Commissioner
Okay.
Roach, everything is in order.
Okay, entertain a motion to approve.
Don't move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of granting the request signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed?
Commissioner Roach,
Yes.
it appears that Murali Sharavuri is on the call.
Yes, Commissioners, I was
Oh, okay.
at a moment to just let
We will, we'll be able to go back to that shortly.
Yes.
We have nothing under, on the request of the city engineer's office for traffic matters, both in favor or against this month. So we can go back to, new business. And, I'm sorry, Lieutenant, you said we have
Yes, we have
folks on the line?
Morale in attendance?
Yes.
If-
Yes, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay, great.
you have the floor.
Oh, thank you. My name is Morley Chiravori. I apologize. I'm talking to you from my car. I'm picking up my daughter. I'm a resident of Bridgeport. Have been there for several years. And actually, unfortunately, my neighbors couldn't be here today to speak with you just because we got sort of bumped from one meeting to another. There was a little bit of confusion. And the reason we wanted to approach the situation in our view to St. Mary's by the Sea. And this has actually been a long-running issue, and it primarily has to do with safety. And if you don't mind, I just wanted to compartmentalize this into two sections. First of all, I wanted to say that we've had a tremendous relationship with the cops who come by, the police folk, who we're very grateful to for maintaining law and order in the area. However, the two issues that we need to address are, first of all, the speeding. I'm very, very nervous that a bad accident is about to happen because there's a 15-mile-an-hour speed limit, many pedestrians, many cyclists, and my 3 kids often cross the street, and people are driving 40 miles an hour, racing up and down. Sometimes it's the motorbikes, sometimes it's cars. The concern I have is that there's no check on this speed unless there's a policeman actually there. And so I was going to ask for the possibility of speed bumps in this area to at least prevent the sort of the reckless driving or breakneck speed, which doesn't occur all the time. It's just certain times this occurs, and it's very frightening when you have to yank a kid back when somebody's speeding by or something. And the second issue has to do with just the general law and order situation, which waxes and wanes. The summer tends to be the worst, but it's been a real problem at nighttime when, there are a lot of folks who come and stay there when the park is clearly closed. And this has been an ongoing issue. And, the police do their job. They come by and they clear the area, not so much by giving tickets, which some would say be more effective. It's mostly just by patrolling the area, they clear the people. Many of those people come right back. Very often, particularly in the summer months, they're spending a lot of time there, a lot of noise, doing other things, including, they're drinking, doing other stuff. Our request, and my neighbors included, was if there could be some thought put into this to sort of make this more preventative rather than them sitting there and just being cleared out and coming right back. I don't see the same problem occurring 400 yards away down in Fairfield where, I wouldn't dare park there because I know I'd get a ticket. Or, this kind of behavior wouldn't be tolerated. A lot of the people are not local Connecticut plates, but I just feel like there's a. But I think I have questions or comments about that.
Okay. Sir, this is Dan Roach. I live on Quinlan Avenue, so I'm very familiar with St. Mary's by the Sea, and also familiar with the occasional speeding problem, the first issue that you brought up. I know you mentioned speed bumps. The city and the department and the city engineer's office has just been able to get around liability issues. We're at the point now where there'll be a pilot program for speed. They're called speed humps as opposed to speed bumps. I think the difference is obvious enough, but they managed to get the job done. Unfortunately, they're a couple of years away at most. So there's nothing, unfortunately, that we can't direct or approve speed humps for St. Mary's, and they're not going to appear over the next month or so. But I can certainly bring that up again. St. Mary's was mentioned as a possible site for when they test these out. It's a very logical site, and I'll follow up to see where that's at. As far as the nighttime issues, I personally happen to agree with you. I think we have some very good officers there. I mentioned it before when this item come up. You hadn't been on the call yet, but the two officers that alternate the 3 to 11 shift in St. Mary's area, Bruno and Stern, are usually they're very good and on top of things with all kinds of issues, including whatever's happening down in St. Mary's. But you're also right that I know in Officer Bruno's case, he's vigilant on shooing people away, but they do come right back. And he's done that before when the park has filled up, and there's no place to park for city residents, and there's probably 40% of the cars don't even have stickers, and most of them are from out of town. So I would I have no problem conveying your issues to Officer Bruno as well as Officer Stern, and maybe it's an idea, an effective, at least beginning of a solution would be to start issuing tickets instead of just waving people off. Now, the question I do have for you, though, is when you're talking about nighttime, is it all hours of the night? I know there's fishermen down there that are allowed to fish overnight. Is there an issue with them, or is it separate from that?
Right. No, I do.
And I'm sorry, how much of it is
separate
after 11 p.m.?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I mean, the problem is, well, to answer those in order, I do not think it's the fishermen who are the problem, because, I mean, we're literally talking about people. I mean, it's people literally blasting music, congregating in crowds, even during the COVID times, and it's you can't predict. I mean, literally, it'll be a work day. You have a case, you have to be up at 6 in the morning to go for a first case at 7, and you're up all night because these people are blasting music outside. And if the cops are busy, which they, God bless them, they're busy, they're doing other things, and we call dispatch and nobody can come, we're literally at the mercy of these people. So, and these aren't fishermen; they are not fishermen.
Okay.
And so this is a huge problem because it's literally disrupt the entire scope the next day. And these guys know they're back in 30 minutes. It's not the ticket. There's no foul.
Okay.
They just come right back. And the second thing is, to your point about the time of this, the daytime people, we have no problem. That's not our problem. I mean, I do agree that most people don't get Bridgeport tickets. And I think the city is losing a lot of revenue because their enforcement could be better. But our critical problem is nighttime because the park is closed. They should not be there. Many people who are not even from local, they're out-of-state plates and stuff. A couple of times we've had to walk across the street and confront people. And I know my neighbor Roger has done that too, because we can't deal with this anymore. We just have to, and we're trying our best not to do that for safety reasons. But again, I do think that if some enforcement, if there was some bite to it or some teeth, these people would think twice about, being so brazen.
No, I do agree with that. I think tickets need to be handed out more aggressively. Whether it's for just being parked after dusk, which they're not supposed to be, or if there's excessive noise, the chart, whatever the officer can tack onto it. By doing that, it's more of a deterrent than just shooing them away. No question.
We would really appreciate that. Yeah, thanks.
Okay. If it does continue, and I'll speak. I know Officer Bruno was on this evening, and I'll give him a buzz before his shift is over and convey that, and I'll talk to Officer Stern. I'll also make sure the overnight guys are aware of it as well. But if you don't see any improvement, please call me or email me at the end of the week or beginning of next.
Okay.
And my email address is easy enough. It's I know you're in the car, but it's daniel.roach@bridgeportct.gov. If you need to reach me, you can always call the lieutenant, and she can give you my information.
Oh, perfect. Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Going back to, and I'm sorry, I think, was it Internal Affairs report, Commissioner Cruz, you wanted to take a look at? And see if you had any questions. I don't know if you had the opportunity to do that. Commissioner Cruz, you still there?
Yes, sir. I am
Okay.
here. I have the report open and I don't have any questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. We do have to reconvene as Plan A, so please stay on the line. Meanwhile, unless there's any other business the commission wants to bring up, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Somebody,
That's it. That's Commissioner Cuminato. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We are adjourned for the regular meeting. The board now reconvenes as the trustee of Police Relief Fund Plan A. Roll call of Pension A members: Cruz,
Here.
Quarles,
Here.
Diaz,
Here.
Cuminato,
yeah,
Lyons,
Here.
and Farrow.
Here.
Roach is here. We have a full panel. Entertain a motion to grant the request of Mrs. Arlene Ciofani to receive a widow's pension effective immediately.
so be.
It's moved by Commissioner Cuminato. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay. The request is granted. Entertain a motion to adjourn Plan A.
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Great evening.
Commissioners. Good night.
We'll see
Night,
you all on,
Commissioner.
We'll see you Thursday.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Good night.
Thank
Thanks, Lieutenant.
Thank you, Commissioners.
you.
Bye now.
Bye.